This is the current method that we are using for the rolling hammer skills. And this is the new method that we are going to use for the rolling hammer skills. And then this is the damage output between the old one and the new one. Yep, there is actually a huge difference in damage output for the skills, and you are probably thinking, what the heck is going on here, and how is rolling hammer doing so much damage right now? Well, before we move on, let me explain the whole situation with the rolling hammer skills. In my last videos, I cover everything you need to know about the new special class Sledgers, which include the skills, the attributes, the combos, and the builds. However, there is one skill that doesn't really stand out or make any sense for the Sledger class, and that ability was rolling hammers. Now, you see, rolling hammer is an instant cast ability that deals damage by rolling over the enemies in front of your characters. The skill doesn't do a lot of damage, and it has an attribute called positioning, which teleports your character back to the original location. The skill doesn't even have an iframe when you're rolling, so your character will take some damage or get knockbacks or knockdowns by monster and bosses attacks. Just in case if you don't know what is an iframe. An iframe is also known as the invisibility frames, which make your character invincible for a short period of time. There are many skill in Trio Savior that has this effect, but for the clerics, we have other skill and attributes that actually have the similar effect. This include the phase shift attributes from the cleric base class, step 4 from the common skills, and then we have lagoon teleportation from the llama skill. So to kind of get to the point, rolling hammer is the most underused abilities because we didn't understand how the ability work. Well, apparently rolling hammer has a very interesting damage mechanic based on how you position your character before you use your skills. It is a little bit complicated, but I'm gonna break it down for you. The old rolling hammer is basically where you want to stand close to the enemies and use the skill directly on top of them. The new rolling hammer is where you want to connect the first hit of the skills on top of the enemies. Now, if you do it right, you are going to see a huge difference in damage output between the old one and the new ones. This is because the old one only triggered between 5 to 7 line of damage if you stand way too close to the enemies, while the new one triggers at least 12 line of damage if you connect the first hit and the explosive area damage at the end. This also explains why the developer added the positioning attributes for the rolling hammer skills, so the player can just spam rolling hammers without having to reposition their character to maximize the damage. You can also force the enemy to stick to the wall so you can fully spam rolling hammers. Some of the content that is really good for this type of strategy include the endgame rate content like wicked boss rate and joints rates. Now, of course, this new way of using rolling hammer skills actually opened up a lot of ways to play Sledger now. We don't have to worry about getting dotted treasure of fatalities for both channeling and casting skills. We can start using a pure Sledger builds with overload inkers. Some of the interesting builds include Sledger, Druid, and Krivix for the clerics, Sledger, Barbarian, and Templar for the swordsmen. Vanisher players can also focus on using Power of Fire and spam rolling hammers and Big Bang's combos while using 2 special classes. The list just go on and on. Also, the developer fixed the cooldown bugs on the Big Bang skill, so you no longer can reduce the skill cooldowns with either the past skills or the cooldown reduction effects from the class and items. Oh, by the way, the Big Bang skill was not supposed to receive any cooldown reduction effects, so this is actually a good thing. And also, keep in mind that the original designs was to have the player spend some of Sledger basic skills to reduce the cooldowns of the Big Bang. However, I do feel like this fix has completely backfired on the class combos because the Big Bang skill cooldown is way too high now. The class mechanic is pretty okay, but there are a few minor issues that the developer need to address, especially the skill scaling with the flame earrings. You don't get as much skill factor scaling with the flame earrings compared to other classes. The Big Bang skill cooldown is way too high. They need to tone it down, maybe at least around 60 or 90 seconds instead of 150. And they also need to improve the channeling speeds for the heavy smashing skills. This skill is way too slow. Anyway, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Later!